The Postal Mate webinar, 10 USPS things every store should know. My name is Karen Grant, and I'll be your instructor today. Well, we're going to get right started into this and have some fun today because we all need some fun in our lives, right? Here we go. Shape-based mail characteristics. Folks, this is kind of an issue, especially with new employees and new store owners, because this came out about, I want to say 10 years ago, but I have a really bad sense of time. And we all learned it if we were in the business. And then afterwards, anybody else who came on board didn't learn this. So shape-based mail is for class mail. So when you select a mail service, you select your choices in mail are, first class, priority mail, express mail, parcel select ground, the choices. You do not have a choice, however, technically, in that first class range of whether it's a postcard, a letter, a flat, or a package service. It is determined by its shape-based characteristics. Now, you have to choose that in Postal Mate and tell Postal Mate which one it's going to be. But for example, if it's a first class package service, tracking is included. So if you have a flat envelope and you want that tracking, you can't just pay the extra money and get the tracking and call it a package. It has to be a package by definition, by the characteristics. So you need to learn those shaped characteristics. This is not automatic in Postal Mate. You have to choose it, both on the quick postage side and in the full label side. You have to choose if it's a letter or a flat or a package. You can enter the dimensions, but Postal Mate will not categorize it as a letter or as a flat or as a package because it doesn't know the other characteristics of it. So some of the most commonly missed things, remember that a letter can only be a 1/4 inch thick. If it's thicker than that, it automatically gets bumped up to the next category, which is a flat. A flat is cannot be a box. It must be an envelope. It must be no more thick than 3/4 of an inch. It must be uniformly even. In other words, not have any big bumps in it. Now I'm going to come back and talk about that in a minute. And it must be flexible. So think kind of like a magazine. So coming back to that uniformly flat issue, the post office has said that uniformly flat does not include the 1 inch around the edges. So like a padded envelope on the very edges, it's really, really thin, and then it puffs up because that's where the bubble starts. That's perfectly fine. They're not counting that when they're talking about it being uneven. What they're talking about is there a set of keys inside or a garage door opener or something? In other words, if it went through rollers in the postal system, would it ruin the rollers because it's bumpy? That's kind of what Susan, remind me that later. I'll write that down. Yeah, so if it needs to make sure it's uniformly flat after that 1 inch around the edges. So Barry asks, I thought that if it was over a 1/4 inch, and where he's talking about the letter, so if it was over a 1/4 inch, that it would be non-machinable. No, the size will bump it up to the next level. If that letter, so let's say you have a letter that is 1/4 inch or less, so it's acceptable in size, but it has a key in it. Now that becomes a flat. In fact, because it's flat, if it becomes a flat, if it's too bumpy, it will become a parcel. In fact, so you could have a small envelope, let's go up here, a small envelope, and if it has a set of keys in it, it's a parcel. Okay, so it's really weird. So there is something called a non-machinable charge. So if it's a, oh gosh, I think I just misspoke. If it's a letter and it fits the size parameters and the weight parameters, and it has a key in it, it can be a non-machinable charge then. And that means it does not go through rollers. So we have those, all those are called the guidelines, and those are in Postal Mate. If you go to quick postage and you put in like 2 ounces for a first class, you'll see a button that says guidelines. Click on it and it will show you the most common guidelines or things that you need to know about it. If you're doing a full label over in the full shipping side of Postal Mate, it's the little blue eye. So it's the information eye, and that will give you the guidelines. You don't have to denote that it's non-machinable, although it's always a good idea to write non-machinable, but it has to include the extra postage for non-machinable. Okay, so moving right along. Oh, before I get there, I want to do our second and final poll because I want to see this before. This is a bit of a trick question, but not really. I want to see, and this is, please, everybody participate. Even if you don't know, participate. Because part of what we learn here, or I learn, is what do I need to teach, right? So when sending prescription medications from your store, please answer the following, what you think. And I need all of you to participate, please. We have almost 300 signed in right now, so please, all of you participate. Just guess if you don't know. It's okay. I won't know who said what. I will not know. I will only know the whole total results of what all of you are saying. Okay, go ahead and select. I'm going to close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I had over 150 vote. Thank you. Here's the results of that. Okay. So when sending prescription medications, 40%, so that's the majority of you, said it can be sent by any. So let me share with you. Let's get to that. You're going to want to read some, not all, of USPS Publication 52. And I will give you the answer to this. Getting back to, hang on here. There we go. Medications cannot be sent through your store through post office, period. End of story. Not domestic, not international, not to New Mexico, not to New York, not to Florida, not to Spain. No medications can be sent from prescription medications from your store to any address through post office. End of story. Okay. Okay, so you can send it UPS, you can send it FedEx. It cannot be sent international through any carrier. So don't try to send prescriptions internationally. It becomes very, very difficult. So just again, to reiterate, prescription medications you cannot send through post office. Now, some of you are going to say, but prescriptions go through the post office all the time. That is true, but you have to be a licensed pharmacist in order to send them. And so can a licensed pharmacist come into your store and send them? That's what I would say is a gray area because the account that you're sending it from, Endicia account, does not belong to the pharmacist. It belongs to the store. So probably, but do you really want to collect pharmacy's license and have it on file in case the postal inspector comes in and says, why are you sending all this cocaine type medicine? You know, I'm not sure you just really want to go there. So, and so make sure that you read this. This also will address, this publication 52 will also address things like firearms and cigarettes and cigars and alcohol. And just so you know, there are some firearms you can send through the post office. You have to read that and learn about it. There are some tobacco products that you can send through the post office, not cigarettes. There's virtually no alcohol that you can send through the post office. Not even, well, it has to get down to the level of like NyQuil in order to send it. So be aware of those things. That's your responsibility to know what things that you can and cannot mail. And then as far as batteries, lithium batteries and things, you can mail like a cell phone with a lithium battery in it or a laptop with a lithium battery in it. Has to be actually in it, not separate from it, but in it. It should be a single product in that container. So one cell phone, one laptop, and it needs to be sent by a ground service. So parcel ground or retail ground. So do not try to send it in an airplane. That's bad. By the way, and I will address also delivery days. I might be addressing this later, but delivery days for post office are being extended. So add 1 to 2 days for every post office quote that you give. If it used to be 2 or 3 days or 2 to 4 days, now it's probably closer to 4 to 6 days. So bear in mind, the post office has announced that. Next item is APO, FPO, DPO. Um, APO, Army Post Office, Fleet Post Office, Diplomatic Post Office. And so the rules for military, or USPS rules for military mail, you have to meet two things: all the requirements for USPS and all the requirements for military mail. Now, Postal Mate only knows the rules for USPS requirements. It's up to you to research the rules for the military requirements, and it's different for every military zip code, has different requirements. So see this website? You can try it now if you want, but it's in the cheat sheet that we have, the handout today, and you can click on that and bookmark it. And anytime you get an address that's an APO, FPO, DPO, you can look up and see if that is acceptable. And in fact, I can tell you that, for example, I looked up two the other day while I was doing the research for this webinar. And so I went to one post office zip code, military zip code, and you could not send coffee. Now, we wouldn't normally think coffee, because that's not like it's, alcohol or tobacco. It's coffee. You can't send coffee to that zip code. I went to another zip code, and you cannot send a box that's larger than 27 by 14 by 14 in any shape. So if you had technically a 16-12-4, well, 16 is bigger than 14, so you couldn't send that to that location. So you need to make sure that you check the restrictions of that particular zip code for that item going out. Barbara, I'll answer that for you. She says, I'm sorry, I got an urgent phone call and missed this. What carrier can mail prescription medications? UPS and FedEx can. Charlie, don't do that. You just messed up my entire list of questions. Okay. All right. So you cannot send medication through post office. All right. Next item. Certified mail. Now, we have a whole webinar we did on certified mail, and I encourage you to go to our website and watch it if you did not get it. I'm just going to brief on the highlights here. You can do certified mail in Postal Mate two ways. One is in quick postage, and the other is using the full label. Let's talk about quick postage first. With quick postage, you must have form 3800 with the barcode and place that on the envelope. You must also have that barcoded label, form 3800, round dated at your post office. That's that little red round date that you see there. And that you usually can only get at the counter of your post office. And that's what makes that certified mail a legal mailing. So if your customer had to go to court for something to prove that they had sent that certified mail, they would need that round dated tail of that form. So that 3800 tail, you don't tear that off and hand it to the customer, or tear it off and put it in a file. You keep it on the mail piece, march it down to the post office, have them round date it, and then bring it back. And then you can either keep it on file if your customer needs it, or you can call your customer and tell them to come pick it up, whatever your arrangement is. But it is not a legal mailing without that round date on that if you use quick postage. And that's also the true for any postage stamp you put on it. So, and the postage, just so you know, with quick postage, the postage must always show the amount. So there's no options on that. So now let's move over to doing a full label. With a full label, it's a little bit different. You must use label 3800N, which is that little tiny green sticker. It has no barcode at all on it. And it's just so that the delivery driver, it doesn't play, maybe he's blind or something, some of these post office people, right? So he notices it's certified and has the end client, the receiver, sign for it as he's supposed to. So it's a reminder, if you will. So you have the full label on it and that certified mail sticker. Now, I will tell you that full label usually does not indicate that it's certified mail anywhere, which a lot of post offices have issues with. I can't fix that. These labels come directly from Endicia. Endicia is responsible for adhering to USPS regulations. They have to get all their labels approved by USPS. So presumably any label you receive from Endicia is already pre-approved by the post office, and so your post office or the delivering post office should not have an issue with it. But I have seen some weird circumstances. I don't know if it's remote locations that have out-of-date barcode equipment or what. I have seen some weird things happen. But in general, mind you, we send through Postal Mate millions of pieces of mail a year. So that means thousands or tens of thousands, who knows, maybe even hundreds of thousands of certified mails a year. We don't hear of too many issues. So it is not common to see issues with mail. And then for the full label, you need to be printing out that scan form and have your driver, your carrier pickup, at carrier pickup time, scan that code on it. That will actually upload the certified mail and make it a legal mailing, so you don't have to have anything round dated. Now, I'm going to go back for a minute, way over to the left to the quick postage. Anything done with quick postage is not on your scan form. Please understand that right now, because anything that doesn't have a barcode that's created by Endicia will not be on your scan form. That includes drop-offs and that includes quick postage. It will not be on your scan form. So your scan form is only going to include packages for which Endicia created the barcode. Okay? That barcode on the scan form is what legalizes, if you will, any of these, and tells the post office and tells your customer that the post office has accepted and received that mail piece. So you need to make sure and get that scan form. If you have any issue printing your scan form, because Endicia is having issues occasionally with the scan form, you can go to your Endicia.com account and you can print it out there. I want to make sure I'm getting all your comments here. Let me scroll down. Okay. Okay. Moving right along here. Priority mail. You can do priority mail in quick postage, and it's really only designed for flat rate products. So a flat rate envelope, flat rate medium box, large box, you know the ones. But here's what you need to know. First of all, you have to add label 400, which is the barcode, so you have tracking on it. Second of all, you need to know that this is not part of your scan form. And third, it does not include any discounts. Boo. So you want your discounts. So why would you ever use quick postage? The only time I've ever known that a store, quote, needed it or wanted it is if they do so many USPS packages in a day, they don't care about missing out on the discount, which is anywhere between 55 and 85 cents, I think, per package. It's not a huge amount, but it adds up. Most of us want the discount. So going to the full label side and creating the full label is usually a much better solution. It takes care of everything. It's part of the scan form. There's no extra stickers. You can put on a priority mail sticker. It's always a good idea to, but it's not a requirement. You get your discounts. It does cover, it has full insurance, and the postage can be stealth. And stealth postage applies in all cases except where it's prohibited by law. Where is it prohibited by law? Some extra services you might purchase will mean that stealth postage has to show, like in post office insurance. Also, when sending to some foreign countries, stealth postage cannot show. It cannot be there. So the postage must show. So I want to say Japan is one of those. I think Brazil is one of those. So if you suddenly see the postage come up on an international shipment, that would be why. Yes, any store can send APO, FPO, DPO. There's no licenses, requirements, regulations, or anything. Anybody can send APO, FPO, DPO. I'm trying to spot check some. I'm getting tons of questions here, so bear with me. Endicia passphrase issues. If you have not recently had a Endicia passphrase issue, congratulations. It's your lucky day. Go buy a lottery ticket. Honestly, they are happening left and right. And what is happening is behind the scenes, Endicia is migrating accounts. And they're doing some things, and I don't have all the details of what they're doing, but it is causing some passphrase issues. And so you might have done nothing wrong yourself. Maybe you haven't gone into your Endicia.com account for ages or anything. And all of a sudden you try to use Postal Mate and for post office and it says your certified intermediary passphrase is blah, 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 incorrect. And you're going, what did I do? And so you call us. You know why you call us? Because of two things. One, we've trained you to call us anytime there's an issue. And number two, the error that comes up says call Postal Mate for more information. And the reason we do that is because we want to be, you pay us, we want to be your first line of support. However, if it's something we can't fix, we may have to have you call the carrier, but we want to see if there's anything we know or we can do first. And that's why we always have you call us first. In this circumstance, in most cases, you may need to contact Endicia to get your passphrase reset, especially if you're locked out. They give you 3 tries, and after 3 tries, they lock down your account. There's nothing we can do in Postal Mate support to unlock your Endicia account. Only they can do that. If you're not locked out, but they just say that you have your passphrase is incorrect, well then if you know your passphrase, you can go into Postal Mate settings and re-enter that. If you want help with that, by all means, contact support and we will get with you and walk you through that. And, hopefully you don't expire those 3 tries before Endicia locks you out. I wish it was more than 3 tries, but it's only 3 tries. So that's what's going on with that. Don't totally freak out, but it is an inconvenience and I'm sorry about that. I wish I could fix that, but that is something that's going on and it's no fault of your own. It just happens. If, by the way, you use a method outside of Postal Mate, in addition to Postal Mate, to create postage, this will happen more often to you and is more likely to happen. Remember, some of you, I would say 30% of you, use quick postage and regular label for postage, but you also use an Endicia.com, stamps.com, netstamps.com, whatever account somewhere else, Dazzle, whatever, outside of Postal Mate to also create postage with the same account. If your passphrase or changes at that location and you don't set the new passphrase or enter the new passphrase in Postal Mate, then you're going to end up with a conflict and it could end up locking you out of both of them. So it could just shut down your entire account. So anytime you change a passphrase, if you use multiple methods of doing postage, if you change it in one, you've got to change it in the other. If you use only Postal Mate for postage, your life is a lot more simple, but that's a personal choice. Jeff, don't let me go away from that. Make me get back to that one. Okay. Quick postage. Never print more than you're willing to lose, people. We allow you to print multiples, but I will tell you that little dumb Dymo printer is a pain in the neck. It's not designed for heavy use. It's designed for casual office use. And we're kind of power users. And if you tell it to print a whole bunch of things and it gets stuck in the middle, you may not be able to get a refund. We just want to kind of crush the Dymo printer sometimes. But so let me explain what I believe or what I've been told about the Dymo stamps. When you create a full label, the 4x6 label with the barcode and everything, and if you make a mistake or the address changes or whatever, you can go and get a refund. You just void it and it automatically issues a refund. And in 10 days, you get your money back from the post office. With the Dymo stamps, there is no such method. My understanding is that if Endicia gives you a refund on Dymo stamps, it comes out of Indicia's pocket, whereas the other one actually comes back out of the post office's pocket. So Endicia takes a loss if they issue a refund on the Dymo stamps, is my understanding. So they're not likely to do it. Now, I'm not saying they won't, but they're not likely to. If you have created a number of stamps from quick postage and they did not print, it was the end of the roll, there was a jam, there was a power glitch, whatever reason that they did not all print, you can contact our support team. We will try to help you to get it to print. Whatever you do, don't clear the printer. Do not cancel the documents, if you will. If we cannot help, though, we're going to have you contact Endicia. Endicia, and by the way, stamps.com owns Endicia, so if I use both terms, they are the same company. Endicia has more tools and are able to get into your Dymo printer deeper than we can to try to get those to print. Areas that are completely locked down from us. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. It's not like a normal printer, and that's why the Dymo printer is really our only option. It's because it's able to be locked down, and that's so that you can't just continue to hit reprint and reprint stamps, because that's stamps are money, right? And so there are lockdowns on reprinting. So when it shuts down in the middle of a print, that's why it's hard to get it to print. So first contact us. If we can't get help for you, contact Endicia. But don't do so many multiples that you're going to be out $5,000 if it goes belly up in the middle of a print. I used to make it if it was over a couple of bucks, I would do one at a time. So just get used to that. Why are Endicia refunds being denied? The regular full label refunds should not be denied as long as you're within the guidelines that they prescribe. So make sure that you get those. If your Dymo refunds are being denied, they will argue a bit with you on that. Make sure you're calling the Postal Mate hotline or the dedicated number for Postal Mate users with Endicia, not their regular support desk. And that will help out a little bit if they know you're a Postal Mate customer, but they do not have to issue refunds for the Dymo printer and quick postage. So they sometimes will. They don't have. Hang on, Max, we're almost there. Customize your Postal Mate screens. I can't say this more than I do. I mean, I say it a lot, but make sure you have these. This is called time in transit. The blue words here, you can customize that for post office only. And for all the other carriers, we insert the words for you. But for post office, you can enter your own words. And right up here, I want you to take a look at the upper right, the first class mail flat. I have in must fit size restrictions, and that's so that somebody doesn't accidentally try to send a box as a flat. A flat is an envelope. I can't say more, an envelope. Postal Mate will let you send a 12 by 9 by 3 in that, because it's not going to, this is a shape-based characteristic decision, so it's not going to restrict you. So you have to know whether it is a letter, a flat, or a package service, and choose the correct one. So you have to study those and know those. And the handout we have today will guide you in where to enter words for this, and has my words, and you don't have to use my words. You can use whatever words you want for your store. So this one I want to show. This is for that flat, but then you can also use it to help your staff know when to use them. We have two first class package services, first class package service and first class package service retail. I won't go over the difference now because we've done it in many other webinars. However, you can use words here to help you difference, but you can also use words for another reason. This is to discourage use from your customers. So if your customers can see the screen, this will help you to discourage media mail and parcel select ground by alluding to it being potentially a long delivery time. We want to guide people more towards the UPS and FedEx, or at least a faster mail service where you have a higher margin. So use it for the different reasons. Be very smart about it. Cubic rate. If you are in the Endicia Preferred program or the RS Associates Post Office Rates program, you have cubic rates. I've done a whole webinar on cubic rates, and I'm not going to go into all the details here. Please watch it. It's complicated, but it's important. You can make a fortune if you use cubic rates properly. Rule of thumb is use it, but do not choose it. If you choose it, you will lose it. And what that means is, if it's a box, you should never, ever, ever select cubic rate. You should always select your regular priority mail rate. Okay, I won't go into the details. Watch the recorded webinar on that to learn why. You will get the better price no matter what. This is the recording right here. It's on our website, so you can go and watch it. Learn how to use cubic rates. I get so upset because I regularly go in and help a store out, and I will see that they are selecting cubic rates, and it breaks my heart, because every time you select cubic rates, almost without exception, so like in the 90+%, you're losing $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 on every shipment. You want cubic rates. For a box, you don't want to choose cubic rates in most circumstances. So please watch that. The webinars are in the help center of our website. We're going to go there in just a little bit. Okay. Weird USPS rules. Sorry, UPS, I keep saying your name. Weird USPS rules. Here's some weird ones that you need to know. You cannot send registered mail from your store. Okay, unless you're a contract postal unit, which is different, means the post office sends you a check every month. Unless you're one of those, you cannot send registered mail from your store. The return address should always be your customer, not your store. That's set in your Endicia settings in Postal Mate. If you are a CMRA and have mailboxes, you must accept certified mail on behalf of your customers, even if they don't want it. You don't have a choice on that. The postal inspector is a god. Treat him or her like one. They come in and they want information. It is yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Don't get on the wrong side of the postal inspector. Become their friend. They can help you out in bad times. You want to help them out when they need information. They are legally entitled to all post office information regarding your mailbox customer. You cannot open outgoing mail, period. As soon as a mail piece is designated as mail, your rights to open a package are gone. If you suspect there's drugs in it, now you have to contact the post office and let them deal with it. Okay, so you can open up a mail, you can open up UPS, you can open up FedEx, you can open up DHL packages, but you cannot open up mail packages once you are aware that they are mail. Okay. And the last one, once CMRA mail is delivered to your address, so for your mailboxes, it becomes private property. It is no longer the property of the post office, and they have no jurisdiction over that mail. So if you want to feed it to the dog, to the shredder, or throw it out, you can. However, your mailbox customer will probably sue you, so don't go there. But I just want you to know that it is becomes personal property. So for example, holding the mail until you receive payment for a past due mailbox customer is perfectly acceptable and legal. So there's some weird USPS rules that you may not have been aware of, especially if you're new. Now we're going to get to the reason many of you signed into this webinar, and that is the Endicia NetStamps update. So here's what we know. At this point, there is still no date announced. We believe that at earliest it will be third quarter this year. We will guarantee, well, I won't guarantee, but I'm 99% sure we will give you at least 30 days notice, probably more than that. We internally have been told we'll have 90 days notice. If we have 90 days notice, then you'll have 89 days notice, right? So we will give you every bit as much notice as we can. And so you'll watch your emails. I don't know if it's really going to happen third quarter or not. It is Endicia that drives that. They will tell us when they will give us a date. At that point, we will work towards that date. But we talked to them 2 weeks ago, and they said we don't have a date yet. So meanwhile, you should still be purchasing or have purchased a supply of NetStamps, and that's the labels that are behind me. And let's see if I can get out of the way here. There we go. That's what they look like. They have a pink side on the top and a pink side on the bottom. I know you couldn't hear me well, but those are the ones that you want. You can only get them. They are proprietary and they are expensive. And I'm sorry, if you get the 4 rolls, they run right around just a hair over 7 cents each. They do have a serial number on them at this time. Through Postal Mate, you will not need to enter a serial number. You can use them now if you want, but you can use the old stock still if you want. If you use what we talked about earlier, if you use one of the methods outside of Postal Mate and you create stamps from there, then you have to use the new NetStamp stock. So it's kind of your call on that. We have had a few stores, and it's just a handful, that even through Postal Mate, they have to use the new NetStamps. That is unusual, and that's not normal. That's not the bulk of you. I don't know why, but basically Endicia did something weird on their end. But you should be able to use old label stock through quick postage just fine. And that's all I have on that. So let's see here. Oops. Yeah, here we go. Cheat sheet. You do have a handout on your dashboard, so you can click on the handout and this will pop up. It also includes the Endicia support line that is dedicated for Postal Mate stores. I think they handle other customers too, but they have been trained. They have been trained to not say, "Oh, that's a Postal Mate problem." So if you ever talk to Endicia and they say, oh, that's a Postal Mate problem, I want you to get their name, please. And when you call us, tell us their name, that Samantha S. at Endicia said, blah, 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 and it was your fault. We're taking names. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, maybe it is a Postal Mate problem, and that's okay. We'll help you with that. But we don't want any carrier blaming us for issues that aren't us, just like we don't want to blame a carrier for issues that a Postal Mate issue. We don't like the blame game. And when last year, if you're newer, you didn't have to experience this, but all of the rest of you, last year we experienced horrific issues with Endicia, and Endicia support took that's a Postal Mate problem attitude. And it was not a Postal Mate problem. It definitely was an Endicia problem. Well, part of the apology to us for that was that they gave us this dedicated phone line for Postal Mate users. So we're going to go in a minute. We're going to go to our website and show you the help center. It's where you can get some of this information. And if you're watching this as a recording, that's where you're going to find this handout. So this is question and answer time. I have a lot. I have over 300 people on board, so I will have a lot of questions. I'll try to get through as many as I can, but scrolling up and down in the question and answer pane is really tough. So if I miss your question, email it to support@pcsynergy.com. I will monitor those emails for about 15 minutes after the webinar and try to catch anything I can. I have briefed our support staff on the topics today and answers today that I think they'll need to know, so they might be able to assist you. So if you need personal help, contact our support team, and if they need to refer it to me, they certainly will. So I'm going to get through the question and answers. Let's see if I can do this. Look at that, there's Postal Mate, and I'm going to pull up Chrome here, maybe. See if I can get it. Oh, look at that. Hello, Google. Yeah. It's hard to do this over the microphone. Sorry, folks. So if you haven't been to our website, it's our new website, sorry. It's pretty cool. We're pretty excited about it. I'll just go ahead and blow this up. You enter the Postal Mate area. And in this high seal, we have a quickie here. We have some things here. Frequently asked questions. You do need to log in to get to certain things. And of course, I don't have my login stuff right now. That figures. And then you're going to go to the help center right here. And this is where you're going to type in things. And if you need the handout for today, you're going to type in just the first bit of, let's see if I can do this, if it will kick me out. It's 10 USPS things. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm not logged in, so it's not going to let me. But 10 USPS things, and it's going to pop right up. And this, by the way, is where you can type in anything. You can type in webinars. You can type in videos. You can also scroll down further, and here's the webinars. We have, we'll have some videos showing up. We do still have some regional training events. We did cancel Hartford, Connecticut due to the COVID-19 issue. Seattle is still on the books for now. We're going to kind of play that by ear. San Diego at the end of the year, we're really hopeful that that one's going to happen. So if you can come see one of our regional events with about 11 hours of training on a Saturday and Sunday, we'd love to have you. So I'm going to get right into some questions here. And if you need me to go into Postal Mate to show something, I will. So bear with me here while I get to the top and start scrolling down. And is first class package service sent by air? Yes. Why can other agencies ship drugs to me through postal service? Because they are licensed pharmacists. Shipping medications internationally is very, very risky. I tell you not to do it because of the risk, not because you technically cannot. It is not uncommon for prescriptions that are legal in the United States to be illegal in other countries. So the drug could get quarantined or confiscated. Additionally, it is not uncommon for medications to have horrendous duties and taxes applied on to the receiver. If that receiver does not pay the duties and taxes, that bill will go to the sender. If the sender does not pay those duties and taxes, it can come back to you. It can be, I have seen it in the thousands of dollars, folks, thousands of dollars. And if the country has collected that, see, they collect it up front from UPS, FedEx, and DHL. They have, so UPS, FedEx, and DHL actually gives the country that money, and then FedEx, UPS, and DHL collect it from you. It is possible. I'm not saying that it is absolute, but it is possible that you will have to fork up that money. So there, it is very high risk for you to send medications internationally. Okay. Gina, there is no such thing as a postal license. Okay. On the certified tear sheet, so that's the little tail, I believe, can we put our quick postage zero stamp? No, that does not make it legal. You can put it on it, but in a court of law, if that person gets called into a court to prove that he sent that certified mail, that generally will not hold up. Now, in a local court, city court, or county court, it might. Your local jurisdiction might allow it, but I can tell you that the IRS, for example, will not accept that. So the full label certified mail does not need the post office round date stamp. That is correct, as long as your driver scans the scan form. That's what takes the place of the round date for a full label certified mail. Again, we have a full webinar on that. Please watch that. Charisse, my post office told me don't do the scan form. The only ones that don't have to do the scan form is a rural route carrier that is a contract carrier. If your actual post office says they don't do the scan form, they're wrong. They do. They have to by law. If your post office pickup driver is a federal employee, not a contract driver, but an actual USPS worker, they have to by law scan the scan form. If you continue to have issues with that, first contact Endicia. Sometimes they have people that will call your post office and straighten things out on your behalf. Otherwise, you may have to escalate it to the jurisdiction that goes over your local post office. So that may be a bigger city or an area. For example, I'm in Gilbert, Arizona. My jurisdiction is out of Mesa, Arizona, which is bigger. Their jurisdiction is out of Phoenix, and Phoenix is out of San Francisco. So it kind of goes like that. And then San Francisco is out of Washington, D.C. So you may have to go up the next level. Okay, let's see. Did Endicia just change monthly fees? I am not aware of that. It should be $15.95. I have not heard of any changes on that. If you're paying a rate different than $15.95, like higher than $15.95, you don't need to be paying that much. You should be on a fee that is $15.95. By the way, they have been $15.95. I want to say I paid that when I had my store, my last store. I sold my last store in 2012. 2012. So I was paying $15.95 for several years by then. So it hasn't changed in 10 or 12 years at least. So they'll probably do a raise, but the good news is they don't do raises very often. The handout has the phone number for Endicia. If your full labels have been not getting refunds, please check with Endicia and find out. Postmate, unfortunately, we don't have any power or ability to process those refunds for you. All we can do is submit it. If you do a refund in Postmate where you click the void button, it has to be done before your carrier pickup that day. You can't do it after the carrier pickup. Remember, when you do a carrier pickup for all carriers, you're telling Postmate, hey, Postmate, all the labels created that are included in this pickup are on the truck and are leaving now. Click. And once you do that, then Postal Mate believes that all those labels are on its way. You can't void a label that's on its way. You have to void it before that happens. So if you try to void a label in Postal Mate for Endicia after you've done the carrier pickup, then you may not be able to void it that way, and you'll have to have to send, you may have to send that. You can probably still do it into your Endicia.com account, or you can go through other methods. Endicia can direct you to that. In the old days, we used to have to mail in that label to get the refund. You may have to do that, but I think they have an online method now at your Endicia.com account. So that's where you would go next. The net stamps are at least 5 times as expensive as the current label stock. Why are they doing this? Sam, that's a great question. And that is a true statement. I don't know the exact times amount, but they are quite a bit more expensive. So I often get asked, are there going to be knockoffs? Not at this time. Right now it is proprietary for a reason. It's so that the post office can have better control of the label stock that's out there. Apparently there was a lot of counterfeit stamps out there that were being created. So that is the reason behind things. So I don't see that changing in the near future. I see that only getting more strict. Will the price come down? Ooh, I hope so. I mean, it would stand to reason, but as it is now, you get a 5-cent discount. These labels are costing you 7 cents, so you're losing 2 cents every time you create a stamp. Now, I will tell you, for those of you who I consider spoiled rotten, that all you've ever known is Endicia. Back in the old days, and remember, I got into this industry 34 years ago, we didn't have Endicia or online postage. We used stamps out of a drawer to put on post. You can still do that. And in fact, if I were to have a store today, I would never, ever, ever create a quick postage stamp for 1 ounce. I would always use a stamp off a roll in my drawer. It's quicker. It uses up less everything. So you can go to that method. Hi, we occasionally get a return to sender for postage due. Well, this happen when we use scale because it's that mailer, it was thicker than allowed. Yeah, it may have been that first class package service versus first class flat versus first class letter. Might be a shape-based criteria issue. A post office in doing something wrong too. We have seen that the post offices have incorrectly said that there's postage due. That can be, Endicia can help. That's something we help you with, as long as you weight it correctly. And you know those little, by the way, you know those little scales that you get, sometimes you get them for free from stamps.com or something, but they're little postage scales. Those are not legal for trade. If you have one of those, make sure you keep it in a drawer. Don't let your or local weights and measures department see that. You will get ticketed at, get fined for that. That's not legal for trade. You're technically not allowed to use it. I love to use the backup. So when I weight on my regular scale, you use a backup. So let's go to your regular scale now, the big scale that you have. 95% of you use a Mettler-Toledo scale, which is standard. It's the gold standard in the industry. But there are 2 prominent Mettler-Toledo scales that are used. The 60, the 6L. The 60 is not legal for trade for lightweight mail items. Okay, it's only legal for trade for weight-based parcel type items. It is not sensitive enough to weigh the fractions of an ounce. The 6L, which is the newer and yes, more expensive one, is legal for trade for lightweight envelopes. So if you're getting postage due on lightweight envelopes, your calibrations on your 60 scale aren't sensitive enough to pick that up correctly. And so I would expect that to happen. So every store should have at least one PS or BC 6L scale. You can get those through Olson & Ives. Scales are not something you want to pick up on Craigslist or eBay, folks. They're very expensive pieces of equipment, but they're also delicate. They have to have been treated correctly in order to be of good use in the future. Moving forward with more questions. Can you explain the certified mail requirement using quick postage again? Maybe at the end here I will, or actually just watch the certified mail webinar, please. I've asked everybody to do that. I don't want to bore people who have put up with me listening to that all over again. International shipping for vitamins or non-prescription medications. Kind of the same rules apply. So if you're going to send like St. John's wort or vitamin B12 or melatonin or something like that, you can probably send those, we'll call those vitamins and supplements, or Tylenol or Advil uh, to foreign countries. But again, remember, just because it is legal here, a legal substance here, does not mean it is in other countries. It may not be. This is particularly true when we allergy medications. Look at Sudafed. Sudafed now, most states, I think you have to go put, give your driver's license to buy the real old-fashioned Sudafed because it's used to make meth. So make sure that it's legal for trade. It could be an issue. Same thing with supplements. Vitamin B12 is probably fine, but when you start getting into St. John's wort and melatonin, that may or may not be something that's okay, and it may be taxed highly. So again, it is a risk if you choose to send it. Ooh, I can't do individual issues. If you have a long individual issue, please email it to support. Should we use the post office template to help with the shape-based mail? John, that's a great question. And yes, if you have a template for shape-based mail, by all means, it should be used regularly. If you don't know what that is, and many of you don't, please Google a search, USPS First Class Mail Template, and you will get it. And you might have to pay money for it. It seems like in the old days, I know originally they were like $50 each. Some people got it for free from the post office. Your post office might be able to get you one. If you have a good relationship with them, you might be able to order them for a lot less now because they are more mass produced than they were. But they're made out of extremely heavy cardboard and are very, very helpful, and especially with that 3/4 of an inch thick and 1/4 of an inch thick. So if you're newer or you haven't seen those templates, by all means, order one of those templates. Those were a great creation. What do I do if the post office lost a label? Well, first of all, hopefully you are all placing tape over the top portion of all your 4x6 labels, over the address portion. If you're not, then you need to start. I don't always advocate placing tape over the barcode because especially if you don't get it on perfect, it can screw with the barcode scanner's ability to read it with the shine. I think that's more yesteryear. I think today all the barcode scanners can adapt to that pretty well. But I always like to leave at least a portion of the barcode untainted by tape so that it's readable. The QR, or I want to say the little flower code, also on some of the labels, that also has all the content address needed. So if the post office lost the label, then you're going to have to probably recreate it. Talk to Endicia about getting a refund on the original one. Let's see. Oops, thing bounced back up. So bear with me here. What's the difference? What's the difference between first class package and first class package service retail? Again, we've done webinars on that, but basically a first class package service is designed to have no letters or cards included in it. It can have business material like an invoice, a business card, things like that, but no greeting cards, no, hi mom, this is for you, enjoy your summer. No, hi little Johnny, I hope you have a happy birthday. None of that garbage, okay? No personal correspondence can be included in that item. As long as there's no personal correspondence, you can use class package service, which is cheap and goes up to 15.99 ounces instead of stopping at 13 ounces. So I don't recommend that you remove one of those options from your screen. I recommend that you learn the difference and use them appropriately. Okay, does any carrier allow the shipment of cannabis products, whether medical or for medical or recreational purposes? No. That's because the federal government does not recognize cannabis as a legal substance, even though states do. And in most cases, your product will, your package will cross state boundaries. Okay. Scrolling down. Does USPS have any restrictions on shipping live plants? Yes. Publication 52 will help you out with that. And publication 52 is interesting because it talks about all kinds of things like bugs. If you've ever been near a pet store, I had a pet store right near my store. We used to read their crickets for them before they opened. And the crickets, of course, were food for what, snakes? I don't know. Rabbits? I don't know. not rabbits, rats. I have no idea. Crickets were food for some critters. But there's a whole rule on scorpions. You can't send scorpions, blah, 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 blah. Um, if you want to know what a scorpion's like, just let me know. I'll go in my backyard and take a picture for you. All right. Do. Has the Postal Mate explored other options to replace India in order to avoid using NetStamps? There are no good options at this time to replace NetStamps. So there are only three approved companies for USPS processing or what am I trying to say? Approved vendors for USPS resale. Stamps.com Endicia is one. Easy Post is another, and Pitney Bowes is another. So we're always looking, and we're in communication with Pitney Bowes. We're in communication with Easy Post. We have relationships with them. But is it something that at this moment we could look at replacing Endicia? Not at this moment. They don't offer exactly what you would need. If you're out of a label stock, then you probably need to order the NetStamps unless you can find some of the old label stock that you want to buy. If any of you have tons, I mean, like some of you ordered 50,000 rolls of, of the old label stock for NetStamps and you want to sell it, there are classified sections at RS Associates, I think, on their website where you could put those things up for sale and sell to other people. And, sorry, this scroll thing for the questions jumps every once in a while and jumps up to the beginning. So I have to get through it again. Okay, can I legal date certified on my Pitney Bowes meter machine? No, that's not a legal date. It doesn't work. It has to be a round date. Please say the models of the scales we use for USPS. For post office lightweight items, you want the BC6L or the PS6L. The important part is the 6L. It's a Mettler-Toledo scale, BC or PS6L, and that's an L, like L, yeah. All right. Error 420 for international mail. I'd have to know the words on that to know. And by the way, when you get an error, read the message. Sometimes the message tells you the answer. And remember, and I think this one might help you. It might be you have to have a ship from and a ship to phone number now for international, for mail, for packages. When you're creating a full label, you got to have that phone number. So that's kind of new. That happened, I want to say about 9 months, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, something like that. Henry says, you need to get a life. You know the DMM way too well. And that is a true story. The DMM, for those of you who are newer, is called the Domestic Mail Manual. It is the Bible for all domestic. When we say domestic, we're talking the 50 states. The International Mail Manual is the IMM. And yes, I've read way too much of it for comfort. And it's really big. I mean, it makes the Bible look small. Are we able to forward medication through USPS if we have a forward for the box holder and the package is unopened? Rose, that's a really good question. I would not have a problem with that, especially if you don't have firsthand information that that's medication. In other words, you didn't see it. So I would look, the USPS is not out to get you. Well, I say that, I'm sure there's a few that are, but they're not out to get you. They're out to enforce the rules so that they can return to Congress and say that they're good doobies and do all the things they're supposed to do. So if you accidentally send some prescription medication through the mail and it gets caught midstream and you said, hey, I didn't know, okay, they're not going to be real evil to you. But if you're doing it on a regular basis on behalf of people, yeah, they're going to come down on you because why would you be doing that? So you need to You need to do your due diligence. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be doing your due diligence, okay? Right. And there are fines. It's not fun. Fines start at $500, and I want to say go to 10,000 for mailing prescription drugs or mailing material you're not supposed to. So it can be pretty bad. If you have questions on the scales, Olson and Ives' phone number, thank you, Henry, is 800-205-0650. Once again, 800-205-0650. AC, you should be able to. That's fine. Where our previous webinars stored on the website? Yes, they are on there. Go into the Postal Mate side, go into the Help Center, and type in the search engine webinars or what you want to, the topic you want to watch, and it should pop up. You do have to log in to have access to them. We don't let people outside of the Postal Mate community have access to the things you pay for. Yes, good point, Robert. Hand sanitizer should be shipped ground. So if you have people coming in that are sending hand sanitizer to, somebody who needs it, it has to be sent ground. If they say, "Oh, I want it there overnight," no, it can't go overnight. It's got to go ground. It's got alcohol, a high concentration of alcohol in it that's highly flammable. We don't want any issues. Okay. Oh, okay. I am being instructed that I don't have to log in to see the webinars, but I'm not totally convinced on that, but I'll accept that. Until I can prove myself right, I'll accept that. Okay, I think we've gotten through most of the questions. Like I said, this scrolling thing makes it really difficult for me to get to all of them perfectly. So please, if I didn't get to your question, just email. Here's my question from the webinar, blah, 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 and send it to support@pccenter.com, and I'll be happy to look at it. Anonymous wants to know, what are the advantages of being a USPS approved shipper, and when is it coming back? There are no serious advantages to being a USPS approved shipper right now. And when is it coming back? Boy, the post office, I'll give you an example with the post office. The post office has set up a committee, reviewed the CMRA rules, and decided that they're going to request some changes. That started 4 years ago. They're still nowhere near being done getting those changes done. So it takes so ridiculously long for things to get changed in the post office. So when will the approved shipper program reopen? I don't know. I can't promise you that it will. It had a couple of advantages at the time. It has no advantages now. So don't think that you need to be an approved shipper. Anyone can resell post office items. You do not have to be anything to do it. Okay, getting down to the end before we sign off. Henry, I like your mom. She says she was not always right, but she was never wrong. That's me. I like it. That's my new motto. All right, folks, I hope that you have a very healthy and safe week and weekend. Stay safe, stay profitable, do what you can to make money. We're on your side and on your team. We're there watching with you. We will be having some more webinars coming up. And hopefully this is your opportunity, if you are slower, to catch up on some previous webinars. Thank you for joining me. We will be sending a link for this if you want to rewatch it or have your employees watch it. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.